right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
A roll of the dice has the St. Louis sheriff in hot water. Tonight he's defending why he made a deputy gamble to keep his job.
Temperatures warmed up today, and they were much warmer than the day before, We've continued that trend. Well, guess what? Tomorrow we'll continue that trend as well. How warm it gets tomorrow and how long we can hold on to this consecutive days above normal.
Our top story, a busy sports night in St. Louis takes a tragic turn. New details tonight on what led to a man's death on the Metrolink tracks. Tonight, thousands of Blues fans walked the same path where just 24 hours ago a man lost his life just steps from Enterprise Center. Good evening, I'm Mike Bush. The victim died after being struck by a Metrolink train. 5 on Your Side's Annie Krall is live tonight near the Civic Center station with reaction from riders and Metro Transit. Annie.
Mike, another Blues game just let out a few hours ago, meaning hundreds of people making their way home and a packed downtown Metrolink station right here. All of this, of course, coming in spite of a tragedy that happened here last night. As hundreds of Blues fans gathered outside Enterprise Center Sunday night, the Civic Center Metrolink station across the street looked a little different less than 24 hours after a man was killed on the tracks.
The difference that I did notice was the fact that I saw that security was more vigilant. I did notice that security was more focusing on key areas, key points.
St. Louis Metro Police said that around 9:30 p.m. Saturday, officers found a man struck by an eastbound train. Witnesses reported he was in an unauthorized area on South 14th Street. That's when police say the man in his 50s or 60s reportedly stepped over a retaining wall and stumbled onto the tracks. Unfortunately, the train was not able to stop in time. He was pronounced dead at the scene.
My heart and condolences go to the family. Hopefully everything goes well for the family. We can imagine this is a trying time for them, such as it's a trying time for all of us right now.
Many people don't just take the Metrolink during game day, but every day, like Central West End's Timothy Woods.
My wife passed September the 7th of last year. As you can imagine, it was a crucial moment, up and down with emotions and things of that nature. I went back to using Metrolink due to the fact that it's just easier to get around, not to mention it's hard to focus with things on your mind.
Woods, like many travelers, is grateful service was restored near Clark Avenue. Metro Transit saying in a statement, quote, "Tragic incidents like this one are preventable. Trains cannot swerve to avoid trespassers or vehicles on the tracks. That's why individuals should only cross train tracks at the designated pedestrian and vehicle crossings." And Metrolink is continuing to cooperate with the police investigation regarding Saturday night's incident. Just last month, Metrolink made upgrades regarding the security gates, the fencing, and even the real-time surveillance cameras here at the station to try and prevent deaths like this from happening. Reporting live in downtown St. Louis, Annie Krall, 5 on Your Side.
Turning now to the weather impact forecast. A chilly night in St. Louis, but a far cry from the brutal cold we saw last week. Temperatures soared into the 50s today. And meteorologist Gary Frank says it's going to get even warmer this week, right, Gary?
Yeah, this is one of the first Sundays in a while that we're bringing you a lot of good news. It's dry this week. It's warmer. We don't have any weather impact alert days. There are a lot of positives here at 10 o'clock on an end of the last Sunday in February. And as we look outside, you know, overall, there's still a little breeze, but it's quiet. Most of those clouds we had earlier have moved out. And as a result, I think that we're going to fall. We got to 59 today. Most of us in the mid to upper 50s, except for Mount Vernon, Salem, Flora. Areas a little further off to the east where it was a little colder. But that's the edge of that cooler air mass being replaced with the warmer one that we're in right now. And I know that it is a little chilly outside, but it's 42. And, you know, it's not all that bad. That south breeze keeps us up overnight. Overnight, I don't think we're going to drop below freezing. In fact, we'll hover a degree or two above freezing for the most part. That's a positive start to your day in the morning, and I'm optimistic that our advanced impacts the next 10 days bring the warm air and no snow, but it will be pretty dry, which I think is positive for as wet it is right now. We'll talk about the remainder of the snow melting, some other milestones over the next 2 weeks, and what we can expect for the week ahead.
Tonight, the Major K Squad is investigating a double shooting in the Metro East that left 2 15-year-olds injured. One of them remains in critical condition tonight. The shooting happened last night on Lasership Drive in a neighborhood off 255 and Illinois Route 157 in Cahokia Heights. Both teens were taken to the hospital. One of them was later released. Anyone with information can call Crime Stoppers at 866-371-TIPS, and you can remain anonymous. A roll of the dice to keep your job? Tonight, a former deputy says That's exactly how St. Louis Sheriff Alfred Montgomery planned to decide the deputy's fate. That deputy is now running for office, and the sheriff is offering a lengthy explanation. 5 on Your Side's Laura Barczewski is here to break down this strange story. Laura?
Mike, Sheriff Montgomery said in a statement on social media he used the dice rolling as a way to diffuse the situation. In a recording of the conversation, Kirchner was in disbelief that what he was being asked to do. Former St. Louis Sheriff's Deputy Tony Kirchner is running against Ann Schweitzer for First Ward alderperson. He was fired last month after newly elected Sheriff Alfred Montgomery alleged Kirchner campaigned in uniform.
But campaigning in uniform is totally against the policy.
Campaigning in uniform is against Missouri state law, but Kirchner denies the allegations, saying the pictures Montgomery asked about were taken before he officially filed for office at a neighborhood meeting.
I would never wear no uniform, give a stump speech, and do the opponent to be there. That would be the most asinine thing.
But Montgomery persists.
I got 2 options for you, termination or resignation. Which one you want?
And to decide that, he hands Kirchner 2 gold dice.
It's the best deal that I can give you, I promise you. 2 tries.
Yeah, I mean, rolling this, I understand, but there's not.
Hey, before I make bad decisions, I always roll those. And it always gives me good advice. Every time. Talk to it. Second try.
7.
All right. Give him his, whatever lead time he needs. We'll go from there.
Montgomery said in a statement Saturday during this conversation, Kirchner was armed and emotional, so he, quote, deployed a creative de-escalation strategy to ease the tension and provide him with a sense of control. He goes on to say it was a unique response to a unique situation, driven by my deep commitment to the safety of my team, and this incident, though unusual, highlights the importance of navigating authority with empathy and caution. I reached out to Sheriff Montgomery for an interview today and did not hear back.
Tonight, Catholics around the world are praying for Pope Francis. The 88-year-old pontiff remains in critical condition tonight in a Rome hospital battling pneumonia, which required oxygen therapy and a blood transfusion. Today, we learned he's also suffering from mild kidney failure. The Archbishop of New York, Cardinal Timothy Dolan, a St. Louis native, expressed his concerns over the Pope's health.
I was part of the conclave that elected him. I've gotten to know him, and so I worry about him as I would my own father, because he is our Holy Father.
The Vatican says Pope Francis continues to be alert and well-oriented and is participating in Holy Mass. Tonight, tensions are reignited in the Middle East. For the first time in decades, Israeli tanks have moved into the West Bank. Palestinian authorities call it a dangerous escalation. The move comes after Israel delayed the release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners over what officials call humiliating handovers of Israeli hostages. Just hours ago, the Jewish Federation of St. Louis held a vigil as the first phase of a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas comes to an end. Hundreds gathered in Shaw Park in Clayton to remember the lives lost and for the hostages still being held. About 4 hours ago, the Ramadan Bazaar wrapped up at the Islamic Center of Hazelwood. 50% of sales will be donated to support Palestinians in Gaza. The holy month of Ramadan begins Friday night. Muslims around the world will observe a month of fasting, prayer, and reflection. Warming hearts during the long winter months.
They had no resources, no groups coming to visit them.
One woman's mission to help those in the forgotten corners of St. Louis.
If it wasn't for people like her, that we would probably suffer and die out here.
Plus, Mardi Gras in Soulard has gone to the dogs, and it was all for a good cause.
We started off this morning below freezing area-wide. In fact, some areas very cold, but we're not anywhere close to that tomorrow morning. How warm we start off the day and how long we can continue that trend of being above average.
Making a Difference is sponsored by Midwest Bank Center.
As we emerge from the coldest week of the season, we were reminded about the danger of that cold to the unhoused. In tonight's Making a Difference report, the Afton woman who discovered that sometimes the greatest gift for someone struggling is simply knowing their name.
So these are donations I've gotten in the last few weeks.
Some people pack for vacations. Others pack for a purpose.
Oh my goodness, wool coats.
At her home in Afton, Carolyn Nahr has turned every available space into a staging ground for hope.
This is really going to keep somebody warm.
Every week, she methodically fills boxes and bags with coats, gloves, shoes, and personal items.
I started posting on the Nextdoor app, and people in this area are so generous. I would walk out and there would be bags of donations for me. Oh my goodness, more donations.
For 35 years, Carolyn mended families as a therapist. But it was the broken lives she passed on her way home, the ones everyone else seemed to ignore, that would lead her into a different kind of healing.
And you think, why are these people just walking by them? Why isn't somebody doing something about this? And then I thought, well, why not me?
And so now, several times a month, she drives deep into the city. Her destination? Not the large homeless camps where most outreach workers go, but to the forgotten corners where solitary souls seek shelter.
They had no resources, no groups coming to visit them, and those are the people that I target.
I've got Gatorade, water, what do you need?
In a world where the homeless often feel invisible,
Do you want thermal underwear? Yes.
Carolyn makes sure they're not only seen, but remembered.
I always find out their name so that when I visit them again, I can call them by name. Anthony, do you need clothes?
Yes, ma'am. I'm very grateful. It's a lot of gratitude in having people assist you with a hand up, not so much a handout.
Here's a nice one.
Oh, that is nice.
Last winter, she saw what frostbite looks like up close.
Are you going to need any more hand warmers?
I would take some.
Okay.
So this year,
Do you want something like this?
she's handed out more than 100 pairs of thermal gloves.
See if these are big enough.
But the warmth she brings isn't found in any box.
I'll know where to find it next time.
Okay, all right.
Take care. Take care of yourself.
If it wasn't for people like her, that we would probably suffer and die out here.
At day's end, Carolyn returns to four walls and a roof.
Hopefully you don't live in Maplewood or...
But her heart stays with those who have neither.
When I go to bed at night in my warm bed and when I wake up in the morning and every hour in between, I'm thinking about all these people that are living on the street and how it doesn't need to be that way. I'll be back next Thursday.
As many look past the forgotten, Carolyn Nahr sees people waiting to hear their names and to be reminded that they still matter.
Bless her heart, you know.
If you would like to help Carolyn and her mission, we can link you to her Amazon wish list when you go to this story on KSDK.com. And if you know someone making a difference for others, let me know by email at mbush@ksdk.com. Mardi Gras celebrations in Soulard are underway. Today, thousands packed the streets for the 32nd annual Purina Pet Parade. Organizers say it's the largest costume pet parade in the world, and all proceeds benefit the Open Door Animal Sanctuary.
3, 2, 1, go!
After the parade, it was off to the races for the Tito's Vodka Wiener Dog Derby. Dozens of dachshunds raced down the 30-foot track. Organizers claim this is the nation's longest-running wiener dog race. Of course, the big party is next weekend when the beads will be flying for the Bud Light Grand Parade. It steps off next Saturday at 11 a.m. from Busch Stadium. The floats will head down South Broadway, ending at the Anheuser-Busch Brewery. Our weekend warm-up melted away the snow, and people took advantage of the nice weather today to wash away all that salt and winter grime from their cars. We stopped by the Waterway Car Wash in Richmond Heights this afternoon, where there were long lines, and it was a similar scene at car washes across the bi-state. And meteorologist Gary Frank rejoins us now with that weather impact forecast. And Gary, it's a good week to get the car wash.
I know. I saw that guy tossing that towel like a pizza. Did you see that? It looks like a skill.
They're pretty talented there.
We need to talk to him about that. Yeah, I think there's only one day that we're going to get a little rain, and we would call it maybe a car wash ruining rain. But I think at this point, you'll probably have to bookend car washes with the amount of salt that's still on the ground, and it's not getting washed away. 2 weeks from today, spring forward. We're already there, and that's actually okay, just because at least it won't be as dark as soon, and probably a little easier to drive home at 4, 5, 6 o'clock where the sun is not directly in your face. Other than that, we have clouds that are increasing, and that's really the only thing that's going to keep us from warming up a significant amount tomorrow. I still think that they'll thin out to some degree, but as we look at temperatures right now, low to mid 40s in some cases. Right now we're 42 in St. Louis. You can see that even where those clouds are coming from, it's still very mild at this hour. And it's still, even at this hour, it's still 10 to 15 degrees warmer. So guess what? We're 10 to 15 degrees warmer overnight as well. And with our temperatures in the low 40s, we got to 59 today. It was 10 degrees above normal in the afternoon, pretty close to normal in the morning. And we're going to see those numbers continue to go up. Now, still, we're about 30 as our average temperature so far this month. That includes the high and low. That's the 34th coldest start on record for the first 3 weeks of this month, right? So it's not the coldest month, and last February was the second warmest through that time. We're going to start to warm up, and we're going to have a warm finish to the month, I believe, as above freezing overnight. It's pretty nice. So all that stuff that's laying around that melted today, so often is the case, I've come up on every Sunday night and said, watch out, we've got a refreeze, we have black ice, we have slick spots. I don't see that really happening, because any stuff that melted, as you see where this is melting, you'll watch the center and all the snow kind of go away. Anywhere in the sun, it melted pretty quickly. Now, the reason that's melting quickly is because that sun angle is going up, and that's why the snow is going to melt faster. It's going to be probably gone by tomorrow in most cases, if not Tuesday. And you'll notice that in January, that first snow we had about a 29-degree sun angle at noon. It's up to 42 today, so that's going to make a big difference for us tomorrow. So as tomorrow, we're going to see temps in the mid-60s, a southwest breeze. I think there's a few more clouds, but that breeze should help us warm up, and that trend continues. And any ups and downs that we'll see over the next few days, I think, are really minor. We're not going to see much cold air, at least in the short term, the next 7 to 10 days. I do think that we'll see some ups and downs for the first part of March. So I don't want you to get fooled by the fact that this is kind of a fool's spring. It's not spring yet. It will not be spring until we start to warm up, and we're not there yet. Now, the next couple of days, I know that this is going to really excite us. We got those car washes outside. The cars are still dirty as you look around. There's that car wash ruining rain on Wednesday. I'm not going to say that again 3 times fast, but as we see those little minor ups and downs, there's no significant cold or snow on the way for us, at least the next 10 days.
It's time to go on the move. I'm Paul Cook, your traffic guy from Today in St. Louis. This one has just been announced. The Missouri Department of Transportation will be closing parts of the Blanchette Bridge in St. Charles. Starting tomorrow through Friday, crews will close the eastbound right lane and shoulder from 9 in the morning through 3 in the afternoon. That's going to take place throughout the work week. Then on Friday, February 28th, crews will close the far 2 right lanes on eastbound 70 at 8 p.m. It's going to last throughout the weekend, and it will be weather dependent. Now, this is nothing like what took place back in the early 2000s when MoDOT shut down the entire bridge for reconstruction, but it will cause delays. And the good news here, you do have the Page extension now fully complete as an option and an alternate. Plus, there's 370, the Discovery Bridge, to the north. If there's any changes on this, I will let you know on Today in St. Louis. Paul Cook, 5 on your side.
An eerie escort, the threat that prompted the Italian military to send 2 fighter jets towards an American Airlines plane. A possible major concession tonight from the president of Ukraine amid ongoing tensions with President Donald Trump.
If it guarantees peace for Ukraine, if you really need me to resign, I am ready.
Volodymyr Zelensky says he's also willing to give up the presidency if his country is granted membership to NATO. Last week, President Trump called Zelensky a dictator and suggested he was responsible for his country's 4-year war with Russia, even though it was Russia that invaded Ukraine. Zelensky was asked today if he could mend things with his American counterpart.
My relationship with President Trump, it never was in such best way.
President Trump is reportedly closing in on a deal to offer security to Ukraine in exchange for some of that country's most valuable minerals. Tense moments for an American Airlines flight headed from New York to New Delhi. The Italian Air Force sent 2 jets to escort the passenger plane after it was diverted to Rome for security concerns. Sources tell NBC News it was over a bomb threat that was later deemed not credible. The flight will resume their trek to India in the morning. A touching tribute here in St. Louis for the victims of last month's deadly mid-air collision between a passenger jet and a military helicopter in Washington, D.C. The St. Louis Skating Club's spring exhibition included a special routine for the 67 victims aboard American Airlines Flight 5342. 14 members of the skating community died. The club had connections to some of those victims. A group of Girl Scouts from Kirkwood took a journey back in time today. The troop from fourth graders from Kaiser Elementary School visited Cedarhurst of Des Peres. The Scouts interviewed residents on what life was like when they were in the fourth grade, and the seniors learned about what it's like to be 9 or 10 years old today, and they also took part in crafts and games. Well, we know St. Louisans love their fish fries and beer. How you can enjoy both during Lent with just one sip. After nearly 50 years in business, the St. Louis favorite has served up its last sandwiches. Just 4 hours ago, Mom's Deli on Jameson closed the doors for good at its South City home. Owners say their lease is not being renewed. Right now, they are looking for a new location. We're 10 days away from Lent and 12 days from the return of fish fries. Rockwell Beer Company is kicking off the season a little early. The St. Louis Brewery is teasing the release of its seasonal Fish Fry Light Lager. It should hit shelves on Friday. Rockwell says, quote, "There's nothing more St. Louis than a good fish fry washed down with a great tasting light lager beer during Lent." And there you have it. 5 on your side at 10. We're always streaming on 5+, and it's free. Sports Plus with Frank Cusimano is next. Don't forget to start your day with Today in St. Louis beginning at 4 a.m. and have a great and safe tomorrow.